This is a tutorial to show you how to set up your website using the Scenario WordPress theme. Let's get started. The first website we're going to work on is Scenario 1. This is a corporate website, and I'm going to show you how you can set up something that looks like this for your own website. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set up our own installation of WordPress. If you don't know how to do this, you might want to go watch another tutorial first. There are tons of WordPress tutorials that show you how to download and install WordPress and get it going. But this is assuming that you already know how to do that. So I'm just going to log in here, and this is the back end, which you should already be pretty familiar with, but if you're not, it's not very intimidating. It's really easy to use. Here on the left hand side we have all these menu items, and it shows you all the various places that you could go. Since this is a fresh installation of WordPress, we don't yet have the Scenario theme installed. So what we want to do is we want to go to Appearance, Themes, and as you can see, these are the default themes that come with WordPress. And what we're going to do is we're going to click Add New. Okay, so this is showing some free themes that are on the WordPress repository. But what we want to do is we actually want to upload our own theme. So we'll click Upload. And then here we have Choose File. We'll click on that. You should have located the scenario.zip file that's found inside of the Scenario main folder. And this contains all of the files that are necessary for the theme. So once you have that here, you just go ahead and click Install Now. And then you click Activate. And now here is a list of all of the plugins that we use in Scenario. Now you may not need some of these, like you might not need WooCommerce if you're not having an e-commerce section in your website, but I'm just going to go ahead and install everything. So I'm going to click on this box right here, and I'm going to go to Bulk Actions, and I'm going to click Install and then Apply. Might take a minute or two, so don't press anything, don't try to click it again, and just wait until you see a screen that looks something like this. Everything looks good, and when I get to the bottom I have this gigantic button. Click on it. It says next, click here to go to one-click Scenario Demo Install, and I highly recommend this step. So let's go ahead and click on it, and then let's go ahead and click Run Installer. And once again, we've got to wait because this is basically creating a ton of content right now for us, and it's going to save us a whole bunch of work. So please don't navigate away, and be patient and wait for it to install. Okay, great. So it's taken about 2 minutes to install everything, but now we see this message right here that says content installed successfully. Great. So the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open the site in a new tab. And here you can see this congratulatory message that your content has successfully been installed. You'll also see here on the top that there's all of these scenarios, and then on the left you'll see all of the elements. Okay, and so we scroll down a little bit, and you can see some messaging here that will kind of help you to get started, but if you're watching this video, I'll walk you through it myself. Also down here we've got some typography styles, some accordion and tab styles, blog and button styles, and a quote also. Now the reason that we've put all of this here is because we want to make sure that while you are customizing your theme and getting it to look just the way that you want, that you have some kind of sample content to look at. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to go ahead and hover right over here on this, the title of your website, and I'm going to go to Customize, and I'm going to click on that. And this is one of the coolest things about the scenario theme. When we developed this theme, we wanted to make it so thorough, so customizable, and so easy to use because we've built a lot of websites for clients, a lot of businesses, and we really know what takes the longest. And so this really streamlines the process of getting the website to look the way that we wanted it to. So the first thing here is the site title and tagline. You can customize that just the way you want. This is default WordPress, so it's nothing, it's already included with the WordPress installation. Next is the quick start scenario. Alright, this is where things get kind of fun, because here we have all of the scenarios that you see on our main website, and the first one that we're going to do is we're going to start with scenario 1. So I'll show you a couple of them, but we're going to end up settling on this one right here. So let's just start with this one. When I click on it, what's going to happen is it's going to inherit all of the styles that you see. So you notice that the font color and styles have changed, and everything has really just changed to match that look and feel. If we change it again, let's say to 2, it's going to inherit the styles of number 2. Okay? And so on and so forth for all of these. Now this is at the very top because you can choose the general style, the quick start scenario that you want, or none at all. You can just leave it as none. And then you can continue on down the line here, and everything that you do past this point is going to override whatever's in the quick start scenario. So if you really like something that's in a quick start scenario, but maybe there's just 1 or 2 things that you want to change, go ahead and change it. It's going to override it. But then if you remove it again, it'll default back to the scenario 2. So I'm going to settle on scenario 1 because that's the one that we're going to do. Nothing is final until you click Save and Publish. Okay, so since I want this to look like scenario 1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the logo. Just drag it right in. Click Choose Image. Okay, and now at this point I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Publish. Now as I said before, I can go through here and I can change anything that I want. Okay, and it's going to be, look, the main font changed. If I want to change the headings font, I could change that too. Okay, if I wanted to change the default body text color, I'm going to make it something really ugly. Okay, you can do that too. Of course, if you don't like that, if it was a mistake, you could just go ahead and click Clear. And then it'll just revert back to the default. Once again, over here, you could just set it back to the default, and it'll go back to the default. Okay, so there's the basic typography options, there's the advanced typography options that go through each of the headings, and I said I was going to show you the whole point of having this here is so that you can customize it just the way that you want. So I could look at heading 1 and I can say I want it to be a certain font style and color. Just customize that a little bit. And now heading 1 looks different than all the other headings. Same with heading 2. Okay, I'm just assigning random fonts and colors, so obviously this doesn't look great. But now you have an idea that you can change that. To change the button styles. Okay, we've got this diagram here that kind of helps you to see, you know, this is the normal, this is the hover. And we can look at this read more as an example. Normal state, okay, this is the background, and let's say this is the background, the text color. Oh, that's too light. Let's make it a little bit darker here. Okay, and let's just make this white. Okay, so whatever it is. And then the hover inherits what's in the quick start scenario back up on top unless I set them. So if you don't set them, they inherit the quick start scenario. If you do set them, then they override the quick start scenario. You can also set the corner radius. Okay, seeing that changed right there. And this is for most of the default buttons, such as the Read More, WooCommerce buttons, and things like that. Accordion and tab styles. That's right here. You can set those just like we did for the buttons. The active hover state is this one because it's active. There's the hover, same thing. And then these ones down here are normal state. Background options. Actually, I think we skipped something. Let's go back to general settings. So we have the logo here. We also have the favorites icon. That's what goes at the top of your tab, the little icon that's in the tab. And then right here we have full width or boxed. So full width is what it currently is set to. If we wanted it boxed, we click here, and then what happens is it basically boxes all the content, and then we could have a background. Right now it doesn't look quite right because we've got this full slider, but if we were to add a background color, you would see a background color here and a background color here, or you could also add a background image. So I'll get to that in just a second. Also, if boxed, would you like to add a shadow border? Okay, and so it just adds a very gentle border right there. And then theme color for miscellaneous elements. There are just various elements within the site that use a color and a contrast color. So you might want to choose something like, you know, blue and white, for example. Okay, so let's go back to the background options. Okay, here's the content background color. That's right here. This is right in the center. Let's say I just wanted it to be a soft kind of gray. That changes it. Now the background color, this is what I was talking about before. You know, maybe we want it to be like a grayish blue. Here it is. Okay. You can also upload a background image, and you'll see some additional options here if you do that. And you can also stretch the background image to full screen if you want. Okay, so here are the pre-header options, and these are basically the options for this bar that's right up here. And you can add some text, and you can choose the icon. You can also do a secondary text. Now these use Font Awesome icons, so you might want to just quickly Google Font Awesome cheat sheet, and you will see a list that looks like these, except it's prefixed by FA hyphen, so it would say FA hyphen phone. So remove the FA hyphen and see the one that you want, and then just start typing it. Like if you see FA hyphen play, just start typing play, and you'll get the play icon right there. Okay. Over here you can disable the info text. These two items are called the info text. You can disable these in mobile, or you can disable the social links in mobile, the social icons that are going to go right here. You can put your URL. Right now I'm not going to put anything, but just to show you, you can put your URLs right here. Okay, and there they are. Those are going to be the links. So you want to make sure that they're the correct links with HTTP and everything. And you could go through as many of these as you'd like. You can also disable the RSS feed icon, or you can change it to a different RSS feed if you have an alternate service that you use. And you can also disable the search icon if for some reason you don't want it there. Header options. You can change the header background color, and you can also change to have the alternate header on the home page. Now this is what I mean by an alternate header. You see here that we have this kind of transparent header, and when you hover over it, it becomes 100%. And this secondary menu, which is the full width menu bar, goes below the slider area. Okay, so that is what I mean by the alternate header. Now let's go ahead and set this to be alternate header on homepage. It's not going to work right now because this is not set up to be a widget. So we need to make sure that this is set up to be a widget before this works. So I'm just going to go ahead and set it up right now. It's at 0%. It's going to be at 0%. Once we move this, you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and move on to navigation. These are the two positions that we have in the scenario theme. We've got the logo bar menu, and we called it that because it's on the same bar as the logo. So this is the logo bar menu, and this is the full width menu, which is beneath the logo. So you can define whether you want both of these or just one of these. We have them set to both be active, but let's say, for example, I don't want the logo bar menu. What it does is it automatically centers this logo and it leaves this one here. Alternatively, let's say we just want the logo bar menu and we don't want anything under the full width menu. Now we don't have anything beneath, and we have this one, and this went back to the left side of the page. Okay, so we just want to leave it the way that it is for now. Okay, so as you can see, I just went ahead and I removed some of those overrides that I did because I want to make sure this looks top notch. Alright, so here we go. We have the logo bar navigation. As you can see by the highlighted color here, it's indicating that it is this menu right here. And there's also a diagram right here that's going to show you A is referring to this main link right here. That's the color of the main link. B is referring to the color of the text of the drop down. C is referring to the background color of the text of the drop down. D is referring to the highlighted color of the text of the drop down. So when I hover over this, right now it turns white. E is referring to the highlighted color of the background of the drop down. You'll see exactly what I mean right here when I demonstrate. So I'm going to scroll down. Oh, and one thing that is noted here is that if you plan to use the Mega Main Menu plugin that's included with this theme, you don't really need to set these options here. You can set them directly in the plugin itself. Main link color, you know, you can set this to whatever you want. Just to show you, I'm going to pick some crazy colors. Okay, there it is. Drop down text color, standard. I'm going to choose another crazy color. Okay, so now this is green, and then the background color will make it black or dark gray, charcoal gray. Okay, then the text hover color will make it blue and then the background will make it purple. Okay, so yes, it's crazy, but at least you can kind of see what it's doing. I'm going to clear all of these. I'm going to leave it just the way it is. Okay, so that's for the logo bar nav. Now for the full width nav, it's pretty much the same thing, but there's just one additional option, and that's B, which is the bar background color. And so you can set that. You could change it to whatever color you want. Okay. And then you've got the rest of the options are pretty much the same. Page title bar. Okay, now this is not found on the home page. This is the bar that you see that has the page title or the blog post title, and then on the right side it's got breadcrumbs. So you can set some options here with the background color, text color, border color, and background image. And you can also set the size to be default, which is small. The default size is small, or medium, or large. Or you can disable it altogether. So you might want to visit a secondary page to see what that looks like when you're setting it up. Blog settings. Okay, we've got some interesting blog settings here. You can choose from traditional or masonry. Masonry is like that Pinterest style. You can choose where the sidebar is, left or right, or no sidebar at all. You can choose the post container background color. Here's an example right here. Okay, so you have some additional options here for what to do with the blog. Footer options. Okay, that's for this. You can change the colors here. Google Analytics tracking code, you can paste that there. If you are familiar with CSS and you just want to add your own, this is where you do it. And then of course we've got widgets and static front page. Now I told you above that this should be actually a widget. So let me just show you really quickly. We're going to go to full width top. And this is actually where the widget needs to be. Full width top is where it needs to be if we want to have that alternate header. So click add a widget, and we want revolution slider. Okay, it's selected as scenario demo, and that's exactly what we want, and we also want it to be on the home page only. So we're going to see actually two sliders because one is on the widget, one is found in the widget, which we just added, and the other one is in the page. So we can remove the one that's in the page. But as you can see, we've got the alternate header has been activated. I'm going to go ahead and click save and publish. The last thing that I want to do is I want to go to static front page, and I want to change this. This home page is just a demo, but what I really want is I want scenario 1, because that is the home page of this scenario. And so if I click save and publish and then close out this page, you can see that I've basically duplicated a lot of the content that you see in this demo right here. Now there's a little bit of adjusting that we need to do, like we need to add some of the images. So let's go ahead and do that. What I'd like to do next is show you the basics of creating a page and using Visual Composer. So let's go ahead and create a new blank page. I'm just going to call this sample page for now. And you'll notice here that we have a blue set of buttons that says Backend Editor and Frontend Editor. Let's go ahead and click on Backend Editor. This is the Visual Composer backend editor. Right now it's blank, and it even gives you a message here that says, "Welcome to a blank page. You have no content yet." Add some content or use predefined layouts. So you can go ahead and click on this green button right here that says Add Element. And so you have so many options when you click on this button. The basic construction element is called the row. And the row right here allows you to place content inside of it. So let's go ahead and click on the row. And you'll see that this gray box appears right here. And there are several buttons on this that it will go over right now. So the first is this button right here. And when you hover over it, it looks like a move icon. And it's basically allowing you to drag and drop this anywhere on the page. Now, since this is the only thing on the page, there's really nowhere for it to go. But if I were to grab it, it kind of gives me the option to put it down somewhere. So that's the move button, the drag button. This is for the number of columns in the row. Right now it's a full 1/1. It takes up the entire width of the space allocated for this. If we wanted to have 2 columns, we would click on this one, and that creates 2 columns. If we wanted to create 2 columns where the first one takes up 2/3 of the space and the second one takes up 1/3 of the space, we would click on this. And there's all these different layouts that you can see here. And so let's say I wanted to, let's go for this 1/2 and 1/2 layout. I'm going to click on this plus sign over here. And I'm just going to add a simple text block. It's got some just default text here. Let's correct this. I am a text block. Click the edit button to change this text. Okay. And save changes. Now we've got a text block here and we've got nothing here. We could either add a different element, or what we could do is we could just hover over this text block and we can clone it or duplicate it. I'm going to hover over the drag, click on it, and move this right over. It's so easy. I absolutely love Visual Composer. I think it's the most amazing thing. So let me just go ahead and save this draft, and I'm going to click preview. It's going to open something in a new window, and now we can see there's one here and one here. We've got 2 columns of text, which is great. Okay, now if I move over here, I can actually expand and collapse this, which is kind of handy. Over here on this edit icon, or this pencil, we can actually edit some of the rows properties. So I'm going to click on that and show you. I can modify the font color. Let me just change it to blue here so that you could see that it's been changed. After I save that and refresh, you'll see what I'm talking about. I could click on this tab over here, Design Options, and I can modify the spacing. So over here, let's say I wanted to give it a little bit more breathing room. I can add, let's say, a padding of 200 on top and bottom, and then that will create a whole bunch of extra space. Actually, let's just make it 150. Okay. Next, let's go to this tab over here. This is the background tab. Now, this is going to allow us to either create a background color or a background image or some videos. Let me show you what it looks like when we add a single color. Okay, now I want it to be full width, so we can actually click and select full width, and that will allow it to go from one end of the page to the other, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a second. Over here on the effect, you can do a whole bunch of cool things and just add some neat effects. You'll have to play around with those. I'm just going to go ahead and click save. We'll go ahead and save draft, and let's just go ahead and click preview again, and there it is. So it's created some extra space above and below. It's also changed the color of the text to blue, just like I told it to. And now you can see a few of the things that it's been able to do. One thing to note is that we have this space right here on the top. If you've got a row that has a background color like this and you want to eliminate this extra space up here, what you can do is you can scroll down and look over to the right here where it says template, and you can change that to no margin top page. Go ahead and click save draft again so you can see what it looks like. And refresh the page, and that space has been eliminated. Okay, so the next thing to show you is this clone icon right here. Basically, you can duplicate your elements, and once again you can move them around by clicking and dragging, which is great. And then finally, fairly obvious, is the delete button. It's going to confirm with this, and you just click OK, and then it's gone. Another thing that you can do is you can actually drag the individual columns and you can swap them if you want. Something that's pretty handy. You can also click on any of these plus signs to prepend or append to the individual columns. And as an example, you just click on something. Let's say we wanted to add a Google map. Okay, we would put in whatever content we have. Just click Save Changes, and there it just appends to the column. You can click and drag to move it around. It's very handy. Now that you have a pretty good idea of how to use Visual Composer, let's go ahead and dive right into the home page of Scenario 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and edit this page so you can see the guts of it, see what it's made of. I'm going to open that right here. And now by default, it opened this in the Visual Composer editor, and that's exactly what you want. If for some reason you see something that looks just crazy like this, you just want to click right here, Backend Editor. If you don't see this, you might have Visual Composer not activated. If Visual Composer isn't activated, you'll also see some gobbledygook right here. It just won't look right. So if that happens to you, if you don't see this and you feel like Visual Composer might not be activated, you'll want to go to Plugins and just scroll down and make sure that Visual Composer is activated. And you'll know that it's activated because it'll say deactivate and not activated. Okay, so let's go back. So let's break this down a little bit. We have got this section with some info boxes here. Info box, info box, info box, info box. Right here are some empty spaces just to create some breathing room. And what we're looking at is basically this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's just open up one of them just so that we could see what it looks like. This right here is animation just to make it appear nicely on the screen. So let's open it up. And we have selected this icon, but let's say you just wanted to change that icon to something else. You can just click on that icon. You can adjust the size of the icon to your liking. You can adjust the color to your liking. There are some options here that you can play around with. We've chosen simple, but you can add a background color, things like that. Now we've chosen no animation because we're using the animation block, but you can experiment with this and see if you like it. The title here, that's what we see right here. Tons of options. You can give that whatever title you want. And then over here, of course, is just whatever text you want. You want to link it someplace, you can do that. Some hover effect types, and the positioning of the icon. So we've got the icon at the left, but you could also have the icon at the top, icon at right. Okay, so let's go ahead and click Save Changes. And if we want our changes to go live, and I'll just go ahead and refresh this right here. And as you can see, the clock has changed, my title has changed. Whatever options you want to change, you can change. Let's say you want to change this background color right here. Okay. What you do is you click on this pencil, and this is going to edit the row. In Visual Composer, everything is consisting of rows and blocks. This is a single row, okay, and it's divided into 3 columns. So let's click on this, and we're going to see all of the row settings. You can set the font color, you can set the padding. Over here we've set the padding to 0, the margin to 0, and the padding to 50 on both the tops and the bottoms. Okay, and what the margin means is spacing outside of the box, and padding is spacing inside of the box. So this is the padding right here, 50 pixels right here, I think it was. Yeah, 50 pixels of padding right here, 50 pixels of padding right there. If we experiment, let me just show you what happens if I change this to 50 and this to, say, 150. Let me click Save Changes and Update. Now you can see that it's created some space on the outside and some additional space on the inside. But obviously that's not really what we want, so let's go ahead and revert the changes back. Once again, design options, let's set this back to 0, and let's set this back to 50. Okay, then we've got the background. Now there is a background option here, but this is the default Visual Composer background option. We want to use this advanced background option, and there are so many options here that you could do, but right now we're just going to use single color. This is the background color. We could change it if we want to whatever we want, and we want it to be full width so that it goes all the way to the edge of the screen. We also have some additional options for effects and things like that, but we're just going to leave that for now. Let's go ahead and click Save Changes and Update. Okay, let's hit refresh. Okay, we've changed the color. So that just gives you an idea of how you can change the background. Okay, here, this is a different section. Oh, we do have actually some of these special effects turn on here. Let me just go ahead and go over those real quick. Okay, effect. We have this easy parallax turned on and this fade effect on scroll, and that has this really neat effect that when you scroll up, it kind of looks like it's going behind and just fading out. So you can turn that on or off and experiment with those properties right there. Okay, here's the next section. This is the next row right here. And I actually have a message here that says the portfolio preview section displayed here uses the Essential Grid plugin, which can be found here. And I've got a link here that shows you where you can find it. Please install and activate the plugin. The plugin is already activated because we did that at the beginning. Create your grid, which is in the documentation, and insert the shortcode here. So this demo uses the skin called Roosevelt. For documentation on how to use this, please click here. And that just links you to our documentation for how to add content to the Essential Grid. This is a very rough representation of this. And so what we'd want to do, I'm back at the back end here. Essential Grid is located right here, and you'll want to create your own Essential Grid. And then what you can do is you can actually add it by clicking on this plus sign right here. And you can go to Essential Grid. It's right here, but if you can't find it, you just start typing ESSE. Oh, there it is. Click on it. And then you'll want to choose your predefined grid that you created. Since we haven't created any, we can't do that right now. Okay, let's go back up here. We did skip this from the blog. So from the blog here, this section that says from the blog, this is a heading. Click on it, and you've got your title and your subheading right here. If you wanted to change the default from heading 2 to something else, you could do that here, but let's just leave it as heading 2. The alignment is currently centered, but you could align it left or right. We have a line separating this right here. That's what that blue line is. This cute little blue line. We want it between the heading and the subheading, right in the middle, not top, not bottom. But of course you can change it to your liking. The line style, we want it to be solid, but you have some options there. Here is the width. It's going to be a fixed width, so if you wanted it to be longer, you could set that to a longer value, or if you wanted it shorter, you could do that as well. This is the height, 2 pixels. Again, you could change that to the number that suits your needs. The color, we chose this blue color here. And then scroll back up to the top and you can click on the next tab. This is the typography. We've got the heading settings, okay, and we've got the subheading settings. Now right here we only have the default fonts. If you want some additional font options, you can actually do that by going over here to Brainstorm and Google Fonts, and you can add some new font options there that you can choose from. But for now, let's go ahead and stick with the default font that we have. You can also underline, italicize, or bold this title. You can adjust the size, the color, and the line height. Line height is how big or how small the spacing above and below it, how high the line is that it's on. And again, same options for subheading. Click on design. This is basically just the margins. And so all we have here is 10 pixels on the top and bottom of the separator. That's right here, just a little bit of space right there. Okay, let's go ahead and close this. We've got the same exact thing here. And what we did to create this was we basically just duplicated this heading. Okay, and just dragged it over. You click on it and you just drag it. And then we clicked edit to change the title. But I'm just going to go ahead and delete that for now. Okay, so a little bit about us. We want to keep that just the way it is. Once again, if you want to change any of the settings of the row, you can click here. And if you want to change any of the settings for the heading, you click here. And if you want to duplicate any of them, click on this duplicate icon. If you want to trash any of them, you click on the trash. And if you want to move it, you click right over here for the element itself. Or if you want to move the entire row, you just click right here to move that row. Okay, scroll down a little bit. Now this is a spacer item right here, but we're using that for this section right here. So we've got a background image here, and then we've got a great big giant space. So what we want to do is, we don't want to edit the space, but I'll just click on it just to show you what's there. Okay, we've got different heights for different sizes of your desktop, tablets, and mobile. And then over here, click on this, and let's skip straight to the background. We've got an image going on. Simple background image, no repeat, cover, fixed at its position, and then the position is center top. And you can change that to top, you can change that to left top, etc. You could also do the exact pixels if you know what that information is. And then of course we want it to be full width. So let's go back up. We have this dummy image right here, and if we click over, this is the section that we're talking about, and this is the image that we're talking about. But we want to replace this to something a little bit more interesting. And then click Set Image. Save changes. Okay, now when we hit refresh, we can see that the image is right there. Okay. Now let's replace this image right here. So we scroll down and we find, here's the single image. Let's go ahead and click Edit. And we'll click X, and we'll go ahead and click the plus sign and click Set Image. And we have some parameters here that we just want to keep the same. If you want to change the image size, you can go ahead and change it. You can specify the exact size, or you can say full, large, medium, or thumbnail, and just experiment with those and see what happens. You can change the alignment. You can have it linked to a larger image, or you can link to a different page. Let's just leave everything the way it is. Click Save, Update. We'll click back over here, and we'll go ahead and hit refresh. Okay, and here it is. For some reason the background is set as gray, so let's go ahead and make that adjustment right now as well. Click here on this edit button, and we'll go to the background, and we'll go to single color, and we'll set the background color as white, and then we'll give it a full width and click Save Changes. Okay, then next we've got these pie charts, and we click on background, and then we're going to replace this background image with the globe image. Click Set, Save, and Update. And then over here, let's go ahead and click refresh. We'll see the two of the changes that we just made, which is the background color right here has been changed to white. And then we also changed this to be the globe background image. Okay. Now if you wanted to make this a parallax, you could go back, hit the edit button, and let's go ahead and try to make this into a parallax. So we have set it to simple background image. Let's go ahead and try a vertical parallax on scroll. And let's just repeat it just in case it runs out of room. We'll keep the parallax at, let's change it to 10. Okay, and let's save changes and see how it looks. Okay, so if we hit refresh on our browser, we can see that it's just slightly moving at a speed that's a little bit faster than our scroll, and it looks really cool. So that's a fun little effect that you can create. Over here, we want to replace this background image with our own background image. So let's go ahead and do that. Right here you see we have a blank space, but don't let that throw you off. It's a background image to the row. So let's click Edit Row, and we'll click Background. And we'll just go ahead and click the plus sign to replace the image. And we'll choose the one that we want. Set and save. Click Update. Okay, and there it is. And we've got one more image that we want to add here, and that's this really cool looking business picture, nighttime business picture of New York City. We'll scroll down. Here's the last row. We've got this cool button and headings, but let's go ahead and click Edit right here. And click on the background. Okay. So now you've pretty much become an expert on replacing all of the images. There's a lot more to learn with Visual Composer. There's a lot more to learn with all of these elements. And a lot of that is covered in the documentation. All of it should be covered in the documentation, actually. Let's go ahead and click Update and refresh. Okay, here we go. Our demo site now looks pretty much like what we have here, aside from this background change that we made just for demonstration purposes. And let's go ahead and remove this box right here. We'll leave this for now because we don't have an essential grid set up yet. This was inherited from a previous version of Essential Grid. Now the one thing that still doesn't look quite the same is this slider here. And as I said before, we'll cover this, the creation of Revolution slider in a separate video. But what we want to do for this particular slide, we want to set it to be a full screen. So I'll just briefly go over those just tiny little details. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and click on Settings. And what we want to do is we want to go ahead and click here onto full screen. And then you want to make sure that you add pound pre-header for this particular one. Because what's going to happen, let's go ahead and save it. And hit refresh. So now what happens, it's full screen, but also we've taken into consideration this extra space up here at the top with this pre-header bar. Not this one, but this one right here. And it subtracts from the full width. And we also have this admin bar here that when you're logged out won't exist. So it'll just basically make it into a perfect full screen if you make sure to add that this pound pre-header right here in offset containers. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing full screen. So that's pretty much it for scenario 1. This is if you want the home page to be scenario 1. Of course, you're going to want to add things like a blog. Let's click here on blog. And we actually don't have anything here on blog. So what we need to do, there's instructions right here to get you going if you forget. To set up your blog, please first visit the reading settings page. So let's click on that. We'll open it in a new window. And it shows you here also how you can find it from the dashboard. Then under where it says front page displays, we've already got the front page assigned to not home, but in this particular case we've got it assigned to scenario 1. And then we want the posts page to be blog. So let's do that. Opened reading settings. We've got this set to scenario 1, just like I said, or whichever scenario you want to be your home page. And then the posts page should be blog. So when we click Save Changes, and then go back here, we shouldn't see this message anymore. Okay, and this is our blog. If you want to change this so that it looks like the masonry blog, you go up here to the site title, then click Customize. And let's scroll to the blog settings, which is right here. And let's go ahead and choose masonry. Okay, and so here we've got the masonry. And save and publish. And close. Okay, now to set up, if you wanted to set up a mega menu for either of these, what you can do, I'm not going to cover this in great detail because we already have documentation for it, and we may do another more in-depth tutorial on it. But let's go ahead and click on Mega Main Menu from the dashboard. And let's do the logo bar header menu, which is this one right here. Actually, let's do the other one. Let's do the full width menu. Save the changes. Now when we refresh it, it comes packaged with some default colors. Okay, some default stuff here that's by the plugin author. And what we want to do is we want to just go ahead and disable all that extra stuff. Full width, we want to remove the company logo, we want to remove the search box. Let's go ahead and justify the elements. And there's some additional options here. Let's remove the separator. Okay, looks good. One thing you want to make sure that you're editing the same menu that you have set up here. If you start editing the wrong menu, then you're going to get different results than what you wanted. So we'll go ahead and click Save and hit refresh. Okay, and then we'll also go ahead and change the coloring here. So go to Skins on the left side, choose your menu, and what you can do, a little trick that you can do, is just go ahead and go to white and then select this all the way down to the bottom, and that just makes it completely transparent. This is the primary background color, and it's a gradient. We just want to go ahead and leave this transparent because we've already set this in our customizer. So you make sure that you do white, and then you scroll this, you click all the way at the bottom right here. And you'll see that it says 255, 255, 255, and 0. 0 is the opacity. Okay. Background color of the first level item. Again, you can do this, set this to whatever you want. I'm just going to set it to transparent. And then the text color, let's go ahead and set that to just white. Okay, and then the background gradient of the active first level item. You can set this to whatever you want. I'm going to set it to, let's go ahead and set it to, actually let's go ahead and set it to like something dark. And it's going to be a gradient from top to bottom. This is the start position and this is the end position. So it's going to start at 0 and go all the way to 100. If you want to experiment with this and see what happens, you could say try something like this, and then you could choose whether you want this to be vertical, horizontal, or radial, and then you click here to see kind of what it looks like, just to get a little preview of what it's going to look like. Let's say I wanted a little line up at the top. You could do 11 and see that it kind of creates like a little line. It's a little trick. But let's go ahead and do 1 to 100, and we'll just keep it dark color. Alright, that looks pretty good. Background color of the search box. We're not using the search box, so it doesn't really matter. Same with text and icon. Okay. Now here's also some drop-down settings that you can do. Let's go ahead and just click save just to see what it looks like up until this point. Okay, so this is what the background color looks like. The drop down, excuse me, colors, default colors look like. You can set those to whatever you want. For this demonstration, what I want to do is I want to show you how to create multiple columns. So again, as we said before, if you wanted to make additional changes to the drop down, you would look at this section here, and this can be found under the skins section and under the full width header menu section. So you can make those changes right here. I'm going to go to appearance and menus, and then I'm going to locate the full width navbar because that's the menu that we're editing. And we have this elements and then all of these long items. Elements, and then here's all these menu items. It's really long, and I would like to set this up into 3 columns. So what we can do is we can expand right here by clicking this arrow. You have a lot of options here. You can set an icon if you want. Let's go ahead and do that. And let's just choose an icon that we like. Click OK. You can choose any of these options here. Now right here it says standard submenu. What we want is we want to change it to multi-column submenu. We still want it to drop to the right side, or we could have it drop to the center if we want, but let's just leave it to the right side. And then let's go ahead and make it into 3 submenu columns. Now if you want, you can also enable full width drop down. Let's go ahead and click that. Then there's an option for a background image if you want. We're going to go ahead and leave this blank for now, and let's just go ahead and click save. And then let's refresh this. Okay, here we go. So now when we hover over it, it's set up so that it's in 3 separate columns. And if you wanted icons next to any of these, you can just expand the one that you wanted. You can go show icons, choose the icon that you like, Let's do this one. That looks pretty cool. Save. And refresh that, and there it is. Okay. So now you have a pretty good idea. One more thing real quick here. Let me just go ahead and add another page so it doesn't look so funny. A couple more pages. At the bottom right here. Let me show you what it does. When new menu items have been added, it just kind of pushes this elements. There we go. That looks a little bit more normal. Okay. We've got shop, portfolio, countdown timer. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll duplicate scenario number 4, which is a flat corporate technology style company. And this is pretty much what it looks like. So I'll go ahead and show you what we can do to accomplish this design here. Okay, let's go back to where we were. We had actually designed this homepage to look like scenario 1 with a couple of changes. Let's go ahead and click customize again. And we'll make a few changes here. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to change this to number 4. This is the quick start scenario, and it's going to basically change all of our styles. And what you'll notice when you scroll down a little bit is that some of these fonts have changed. Some of the basic styles here have changed. Okay. You can't tell quite as much because we are still on the home page. So let me just scroll down. I'm going to click on static front page. And I'm going to change this from scenario 1 to scenario 4. Then I'm going to click save again. Okay, and now what happens is we have a different home page. This is the home page that has been established for scenario number 4 with a whole bunch of demo content, of course. Okay. The other thing that we want to do is we want to change the logo, so that goes under general settings. Oh, we also have this override we want to remove. Okay. And we want to change the logo image. Okay, great. Now this doesn't have the alternate header, so let's go ahead and remove that from when we did scenario 1. We had set the header options to alternate header on homepage. So let's go ahead and put that back as a normal header. We actually don't have a full width nav bar, so let's go ahead and remove that. Go to navigation, and we'll just deselect our option there. Okay, there we go. And then this full width slideshow is going to need to be reduced in size as well. So let's go ahead and save and publish, and we'll click close. Let's go ahead and go to Revolution Slider, which is right here, and we'll just go back to auto responsive, which is what we initially had, and we'll click Save Settings. And now if we refresh this, we've got a normal size. Now this uses some parallax effects, and we will cover the Revolution Slider in a separate tutorial. So we're not going to cover all of the details of the slider in this tutorial. So let's go ahead and edit what we want to edit right here. Click Edit Page. You can just go ahead and right click and open in a new tab. And what we have here is Visual Composer, which makes things very easy for us to edit. We've got 3 info boxes. What's this? We've got 3 images that we want to put here. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll replace the images. Click on Edit. Now here you'll notice that this is set to Custom Image Icon. So if we change the image, we click Set Image, Save Changes. Okay, then the next one. Once again, click the plus sign. Let's do the mobile. Save changes. Target image, set, and save. Okay. Let's just go ahead and zip right through this one since we went through the first one in a lot more detail. Here we go. We've got this map image. Click Edit, substitute it, set image, save. Okay, then over here we have this. We haven't saved anything yet. Right over here, you'll see on the main site we've got this cool looking image. So you might want to find a cool looking image to put there. But remember, this is in the background, just like we did in the first one. So click Edit this row. And then you want to click on Background, hit the plus sign, set, save. Okay, good. This should be fine because there's no images here. We want to add this image. Great ideas start with us. So that is right here. Click the plus sign, upload your image, set, save. You can even see a little thumbnail right there. Okay. The blog, we're going to skip that for now because that requires Essential Grid, as I was saying before, and we'll have to do a separate tutorial for that. And let's go to the Meet Our Team. So let's look at that. Here's the Meet Our Team. Let's replace the images first. Save changes. Let's go over here. This guy. Okay, and save. Okay, so for some reason that icon perhaps it wasn't in the default set, so let's just go ahead and choose this envelope right here. And save. And finally, we have two other images that need to be replaced. So let's replace this one right here, because of course this is our site. This is what it looks like. I want to just replace that. And save. And then the bottom we've got the Google map. So let's click on that, and we can actually add our own custom map marker. So this is a default map marker. Actually, excuse me, this is our own. This is also our own uploaded map marker, but it's just a blank version. So I have one that I've customized for this logo with the logo on it, the icon. And there it is. I'm going to click the Save Changes, and let's go ahead and update this and see how it looks live. Okay, here we go. So we scroll down, we've got these icons, they look great. Background image. We've got a countdown to the big event. We've got our blog. Again, we'll cover this in Essential Grid because we need to create a custom one. And we've got our team. And there's the map. Okay, so everything looks really good. This is it for Scenario 4 demo. Let's go ahead and get to Scenario 12 is the next one that we're going to do. But before we do that, let's take a look at what the blog page looks like. Here it is. Right now, of course, it's in Masonry. If we click Read More, you can see the inside of the blog page. Alright, looks good. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with Scenario 12. And we're going to hover over the site title, click Customize one last time, and here we are. We are going to, first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the Quick Start scenario once again. We're going to change this to 12, Flower Shop. Okay, here we go. Here's the flower shop. And let's change the image as well, the logo image. Okay, great. Now if we go over here and we check out what Scenario 12 looks like, let's just go ahead and compare. So the first thing we'll notice is that we actually have a boxed layout for this one. So what we want to do is, actually it's under General Settings. Let's go ahead and click Boxed. And we're going to scroll down to where it says Background Images, Background Options, excuse me. Click on that. We could actually remove the previously set background color because we don't need that. And we're going to select an image. Okay. I'm going to choose this image for the background because the field looks pretty cool. Let's go ahead and set this to center. Let's set it to no repeat. Let's set it to fixed, and let's stretch it full screen. And finally, we want to change the static front page to Scenario 12. Okay, here it is. Let's go ahead and save. And we'll click Close. So, we'll cover the slider in a separate tutorial. So, what we want to do is we want to open up, we want to go to Pages. There are two ways of being able to edit this. You can just right click and go open link in new tab, or you can go to Pages and you can just search. There it is. Okay, and here we go. Here it is. So this is actually, like we said before, this is Essential Grid, so we want to cover that in another tutorial. But here, how we make floral arrangements. This is what we have here. We've got this cute little step-by-step, hover over it, and you get the steps there. So what that is, that's the interactive banner. And if you click on each one, you can replace the image for that one. Again, I want to remind you that as you're watching this, there are tons of in-depth tutorials on how to use Visual Composer, um, on how to use specific plugins here, such as um, Essential Grid, Revolution Slider, and WordPress itself. There's so much to learn when you're using WordPress. So I know we have a lot to cover, but basically I'm trying to show you how you can get this going with as little work as possible. Click Update. And I'm going to show you exactly what is causing this to pop up like that. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll see this modal box right here. Now, it's technically not in this spot. It could really be anywhere on the page, but when you open it up, you'll see that there are options for what the contents should be, the colors and things like that, and also where to display or how the window should be displayed. Should it be displayed when somebody clicks on the button, when somebody clicks on an image or text, or when the page loads? And so a lot of times you might want a timed pop-up to open, and you can actually set the timer for that. Let's go ahead and set it a little bit longer. Let's make it, let's say 2 minutes, which is 120 seconds. Okay, and we'll just save that, and that way the next time it won't just pop up right away. Okay, so next thing, we want to change these images right here, these 3 ways to order, and then we also want to change the background image, and it's supposed to look like this. Okay, so we've updated these 3 images right here, the single image. And then over here we also want to, actually this is the one that we want because it's the entire row that we want to change. So click here on the edit button and click background, and then we want to replace this with this flower image and save. And then one more thing, let's just go ahead and update the Google map while we're at it with our custom image icon. Okay, let's go ahead and click update. Now, how did I get this cool little curvy separator? How did we do that? I'm going to show you exactly how. What we're going to do is we're going to click on this row, the row that corresponds with this section right here. We're going to click on the 4th tab, which is Effect, and right here you can see that separator has been turned on. There are several options here, which of course you can experiment with, but the one that we chose for this is Curve Center, and it's at the top. So technically this is supposed to go straight across just like this, but what it's doing is kind of curving down at the top of the box. So we chose the position to be the top. The height is 100 pixels. You can play around with that and see how that works out for you. The background color is the same background color as the previous section, and that is so that it matches and it looks like it's actually extending off of the previous section. So let's just change this to, let's say, a triangle, and we'll leave everything else the same. Click Save and Update. Okay, and so now you can see that we have this cool little triangle effect instead of what we had before. Now let's talk about the shop. I'm going to go ahead and click here on the shop. You must have WooCommerce installed and enabled on your website. If I go back here, and we'll click on WooCommerce. Actually, we could have done this from the previous page. You have this messaging right here that says, "Welcome to WooCommerce. You're almost ready to start selling." What you want to do is you want to click Install WooCommerce Pages. Okay. And now what it's done is it's installed several WooCommerce pages. Now if we click refresh here, this page populates with a whole bunch of just demo products, which is great. It's exactly what we wanted. And then we go back here and you can click on products and you can actually modify these or create new ones for yourself. Let's go ahead and click on this brown leather handbag, which is this item right here. You're going to have to go into the settings if you want to change the currency and change all the settings. So let's change this to beautiful birthday bouquet. And of course you'll also want to change the categories and the image. So let's go ahead and change the image. Set product image, update, and here we go. Let's hit refresh, and there it is. You can do that for all of your images, of course. And once you start adding images, it just really brings your website to life. Let's click on blog and see how that looks. Okay, it's masonry. Let's go ahead and change this to the traditional blog style. Let's add a couple of images there just to liven it up a little bit. So we want to go to blog settings. We want to change this to traditional, or even default is fine. Let's change it to default. Okay, click save. Let's go to posts, because this is where our blog items are being pulled from. Let's trash the hello world. And let's start with the second one right here. Okay, of course you can modify any of your content here. If you wanted to use Visual Composer, you have to go into the Visual Composer settings. By default, it does not edit blog posts. It doesn't display the Visual Composer editing buttons for blog posts, but of course you can change those in the settings. We're going to go to the featured image. Update. And here we go. We've got this beautiful blog post here. When we click on it, we've got the details, blog post details. And there you go, guys. I hope this tutorial has been helpful. I hope that you find it intuitive to use. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact us. We'll continue adding to these tutorials and revising them as needed to make them more useful and more helpful to our users. So thank you so much and enjoy.